I only got vague hints of him talking about how his mom passed recently, but he never seemed like emotional about it.
I would not be able to sleep for more than like an hour and a half, 2 hours without hearing those screams in my head and it waking me up.
Like, Asmongold is an idiot.
Really? I like Asmongold.
Him apologizing is just a way of getting his money back. He does no care.
I mean,
like, Hamas is the good guys.
We're gonna be watching this, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great, and it's gonna be a little sad. It's 3 years ago. Asmongold, his mom, kind of just his mom passed away recently at the time that he's making this. But yeah, his real name is Zach or Zachary.
Hey guys, I don't really even know how to begin a video like this. I don't know how to make a video like this. I don't even know where to begin, but I'll do my best because it's important for me to make videos and share my life and at least even document it, because it's something that I've always done. And I think that for many of you all who are have been, or will be in this situation, it could also help you guys too. Last week, my mom passed away. And I'll be honest, I still can't come to terms with it. I still feel like every time I say it, I'm lying. Like, oh, well, she'll be back next week. Gosh, she's just on a trip. She'll be back. I'll go into her room before I go to bed, and I'll look for her to say goodnight to her and wake up and look in her chair where she would sit in and see if she's there. And there's a big part of me that hopes that never stops. And this is probably the worst thing and the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with so far. And I don't know if I'll ever really be the same. And I kind of wanted to share what happened and talk a little bit more about her and just kind of just talk about it, I guess. So for a little bit of context, I live in Austin, Texas. And
well, before we get into that, I just wanted to say I have not experienced that, and it will happen eventually. Hopefully not within the next 20 to 30 to 40 years from now. But yeah, it's kind of sad, and I wanted to watch it because I have not watched this, and I only got vague hints of him talking about how his mom passed recently, but he never seemed like emotional about it. And this is the first time I'm kind of seeing him very emotional about it, but this is because it happened like in the video last week in context of 3 years ago. But yeah, so I wanted to see this side of him and experience it and get a bit more knowledge, because I've only known Asmon because of his political stuff that he started doing recently when Trump came into office recently in 2025. And now he's so now I'm kind of exploring his psyche.
I've lived here pretty much my whole life. I moved here when I was like 6 months old, and the rest of my family and pretty much everybody else in my family is in Florida, Georgia, and New York, and a few other states too. And that's pretty much about it. So here in Texas, I've got my mom and my dad. And whenever I was growing up, they were the two most important people in my life. And my parents are divorced, and I lived with my mom. So I spent so much time with her and with only her. And I also want to make one thing just absolutely crystal clear, is that while this is a huge thing for me because of how much time I spent with my mom, my dad has been the best father that anybody could ever ask for.
Yep, and that is super true. Even though I didn't even know they were divorced, but like it's super true. Like the way that like people that watch Asmongold obviously knows this, because like whenever he would stream, like I think probably on a daily basis, his dad will just like he'll pump out a video, and then his dad will randomly just call him and be like, "Yo, so like I want to talk," and he'll just have his phone on speakerphone and just have it next to his mic, and then he'll be talking and they'll be having a conversation in like just together right there, because like his dad watches his stuff, so like whenever his dad hears something that he maybe wants to add more context, or Asmon is telling a story that he probably doesn't remember 100% clearly, his dad will try like give like more info and stuff like that. It's really nice. It's really nice.
He's been there for me. He's taught me so many things, and he's been my mom. My dad has been the best father that anybody could ever ask for. He's been there for me. He's taught me so many things, and he's been even the things that pissed me off whenever I was a kid that he would do. Now, whenever I'm getting older, I think to myself, well, I'm going to do that probably to my kids too. It was for the best.
It's for the best.
So I don't want to make this in any way, shape, or form that it's not about him too. But my mom, I lived with her, and for the past 10 years, I've taken care of her. I've been, in a way, a caretaker for her. She was 70 years old. She was overweight. She smoked, and she basically lived her life like a college freshman. She sat around getting high and smoking cigarettes and eating fast food, drinking soda, and watching reruns of Ancient Aliens. And to be fair, that's what she wanted to do. And she did exactly what she wanted. And that is a good and also a bad thing. I tried for many years to try to get her to stop smoking and to try to get her to take her diet and her health more seriously. And she would occasionally make a half-hearted measure to do that, but for the most part, she wouldn't. I learned about cigarettes, about how bad they were when I was like 8 or 9 years old. And I come home and I'm like, did you know that it can do this, that, and the other thing? And I was like, what is going on? Why are you doing this? Why are you smoking these? And she just, it could never really be understood to me why she continued smoking. And I was just so upset, and I tried, and I'll always wonder if it was like my fault in a way, because I would buy cigarettes for her. Is it my fault in a way that she is where she is, and what happened because I bought the cigarettes for her? The logical part in my brain tells me that no, it's not, because somebody else would have just bought them for her anyway. But there's still another part of my brain that does feel guilt, and I don't know.
I know it's like a really sad story, but like it's raining so heavily I can barely hear what he's saying. But go
If that
on.
was the right decision or not. Can you really protect a person from himself? It's impossible. And I did try. I didn't. I failed though. And anyway, so.
Oh, so he feels guilty about that. Yeah, that's very perfectly understandable. Yeah. Yeah, that sucks. it sucks. But you kind of have to. What would be worse, her going through the withdrawal symptoms before she passed, or her remaining in that state of, like, I guess whatever the smoking does for her, positively, mentally, until she ends up passing? I think. So to be honest, to rationalize it, if it was either go through withdrawal before passing or maintain high whatever levels of whatever stuff in her brain, whatever that stuff does. I don't know what she was smoking. Whatever it was, it made her feel really great. So she felt really great until she passed versus feeling really terrible with the withdrawal symptoms before she passed. And I think one is obviously better than the other. One would have extended the life a little bit more, but then it would have been a bad life to extend, I think.
For 50 years gives you something called COPD.
Because withdrawal is really terrible. Withdrawal is like very, very hard to deal with. So, and withdrawal could literally delete you too. So, depending on how severe it is.
And my mom got COPD quite a while ago. And over the years, it's just gotten worse. That's the way the disease works. And basically, about like 10 years ago or so, she first went to the hospital for the first time. And she came out with, in a lot of ways, a clean bill of health. And I tried to get her to, live differently, exercise more, etc. And it didn't really happen. I tried the garden that I've showed you all many times. I planted that garden in the hopes that she would go out and like maybe take care of the plants or something, and that didn't really happen. She just did what she wanted to do. And so the disease got worse, right? And this is kind of the first time she went to the hospital, and the second time. And then there was a long period of time where she didn't. And then she started walking around the house with a cane. And I was like, why are you doing this? Why are you using a cane? Just walk around normally. And it was this childish and stupid thing for me to think, because I knew why. I just didn't want to admit it to myself. And anyway, so this is maybe a few months ago. I don't want to make this video super long. Is that a few months ago, she just kind of had really, really bad breathing problems. Like it went kind of from it was like 0 to 60, or it was actually, like, if you want to talk about her oxygen, it was more like 95 to 60 and 75, something like that. Her oxygen went down very drastically, quite fast. And I remember I was like right here out in this deck, and I called a nurse's hotline, and they said that I needed to call an ambulance for her right away. And I didn't do that because she was just like begging me not to do that. Don't call an ambulance. Don't call an ambulance. Don't do that. And the reason is that her and I, we grew up quite poor and like not dirt poor. And my dad has always had my back with things for sure. But we did grow up poor. And in the process of that, seeking medical care in the United States is not necessarily the most reasonable prospect. And so anyway, I was able to convince her to go down to the hospital that night, and she was there for 3 or 4 days. And there was a good bit of relief for me because I was able to just kind of relax a little bit and know that she was in good hands. But I got a call maybe 4 or 5 days afterwards from her, and she was just so adamantly against being in the hospital. She did not want to be in the hospital, that she said that if I didn't come down there and get her, that she was just going to get a taxi and drive home herself. And my mom's always had this, it's been like a streak of just kind of, I'll do whatever I want to do. It doesn't matter what the cost is. And it was like in a way unrealistic. Like, how could you possibly do that? But this is just what she would say. And I was so worried that she would hurt herself in the process of trying to do that, that I went and I took her home against medical advice. And I, again, another thing that I don't know if it was the right decision or not. I was afraid that she would sabotage herself in some other way. And it just really scared me to even think about that because I didn't know what was going to happen. I can't know what a person is going to do. And so I just kind of had to make the best decision I could. And I don't know if it was the right one or not. So she went home with an oxygen machine, and she didn't use it for quite a while. And then finally, whenever she started to use it, things got better. And then they were just kind of on a slow decline. They just kind of got worse and worse and worse as the days went by. And this was over maybe a 2-week period. And she didn't even use the oxygen machine. I had to call the EMS because we had a doctor's appointment for her, and she just couldn't get out of her chair. And finally, I convinced her to let me call EMS. And I'll tell you something, man. Like, I've never encountered people that were more professional and more intelligent and competent than the people that came in the ambulance and the fire truck to help her both times. I consider myself so very lucky that we had those people and we were able to have it taken care of in such an effective way. Excuse me. And obviously throughout the 10 years, I missed many opportunities and many things that I couldn't really do whenever I was in my 20s because I had to take care of her and do things for her and be there for her. And she would always be very, she would always say that, oh, it's fine, I'll be fine, I'll be fine. But I knew it wasn't true. And I had to do those things. And I want to make one thing very clear, is that I did every single thing like that with no regret, no resentment, nothing. I would do that again. I'd be doing that right now if she was still in that house. And whenever my dad gets older, I'll be doing that for him. And if, I have a wife.
Well, that's good. That's good to think that way. No regret, even though it does sound like he's kind of regretting. Well, he contemplated it. He didn't actually say he was, so.
She has problems, I'll be doing that for her. That's who I am. And I'll always do everything that I can to help and protect people that I care and I love. And anyway, it was at a cost, though. And so throughout those years, kind of the scope of things that I would do and things that she would do waned. They waned much more over to my side, where I was doing all the laundry, I was doing all the dishes and everything. And towards the very end, I was just doing everything. I would wake up in the morning and I would cook dinner for her, or cook breakfast for her, and then go back to sleep, and then wake up and make sure that she's okay. And I could only sleep for maybe 2 hours a night whenever this was happening. And the first time that she ever really had a big health scare, this was in 2012, 2013. And ironically, it's the reason her having this health scare was the reason why I started making YouTube videos, because I had to quit going to school because I couldn't bear to not be there and help her and take care of her. And back then, we didn't have the money to hire a caretaker or a nurse or anything. We didn't even have the money to have hot water. So anyway, that's whenever I started doing YouTube. And I remember waking up and hearing her screaming my name. And for the next 6 months or a year, maybe 2 years, it's hard for me to really remember back then. I would not be able to sleep for more than an hour and a half, 2 hours without hearing those screams in my head and it waking me up and having to go out and check to see if she's still alive. And this started happening again.
That's wild.
And recently, and I couldn't really get any sleep. I couldn't rest at all. anytime I would wake up, it would just be immediately a panic attack, and it was just awful. And anyway, so fast forward to, I guess, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, no, not 2 weeks ago, like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was out here in this exact chair, sitting in this treehouse, and I was doing a news video about this different stuff that I'd wanted to go online and talk about. And in the process of that, my mom texted me and she asked me to bring her a Pepsi. And I went in to check on her, and she was not doing well. And she was wanting to go to the hospital, within probably the next 24 to 48 hours. And I was glad to hear that, especially with how she had left last time, because that's where I thought she had been to begin with. And I go and I come back, and I'm sitting right here in this chair looking at this phone right here and talking. And I just decide, I'm just too stressed out. I have to leave, and I have to go. And so I leave and I go to lay down, and I'm laying down stressed out, like really worried, and like my room's right next to her room. And just out of nowhere, I hear a crash. I hear glass breaking. I look up and I see like lights reflected on like the side of the door. And like it's like going everywhere. I'm like, what's going on? Like, did you get a new light from Amazon? Like, what is this? Because the reason why I wonder that is, I guess I'll tell this story first, and then I'll get into her spending my money on Amazon. Anyway, so I go in, and the floor is on fire. Part of her is on fire, and also the thing that she had connected to her face,
This is wild.
her oxygen machine, was on fire because she was smoking with the oxygen machine on. And
Oh my god. That's... Alright.
I don't know why you would do that. I don't understand it.
I shouldn't laugh, but...
I don't. Why do you do that? And there's part of me that's very angry at her. I'm very upset. It just didn't have to be like this.
Yeah, it didn't.
There's no reason for it to have been like this.
Yep.
And anyway, so I put out the fire, and there's like a Looney Tunes, cartoon where like there's like a bomb, and there's like a fuse, and the fuse is being lit, and it's going to the bomb. Well, the bomb was the oxygen machine, and her little tank connector was on fire, and it was literally going towards it. And so I'm like frantically trying to put this out before it reaches the machine and it blows up. And meanwhile, she's on the floor, like, she's just completely in shock, and she has no idea what's going on, really. And I think that mostly just in shock. And
This is a wild story. Holy crap. We're only 16 minutes in a 32-minute video.
The last words that she said to me before they took her to the hospital was, "I'm such an asshole." Meaning that she is for doing it. So I think that she did feel like, yeah, I fucked up here. Which is like, yeah, you did. And anyway, so I put out the fire, and I'm able to like give her an aloe plant for her face, for her burns all over her face, obviously, which surprisingly were not really that bad. And we had to call the ambulance, which then again, she was telling me, don't call the ambulance. And it's like, I see her there. She has burn wounds all over her face, and she can barely breathe. And she was on the oxygen 24/7, and she wanted to go to the hospital anyway. And so I called the ambulance. Again, I don't know if it was the right decision, but out of all these, questionable decisions that I'll think about for the rest of my life, I feel like this is the one that I will think the least about.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
Anyway, so they take her to the hospital, and I don't get a call. And
Yeah. The least thing that you're going to be thinking about is if you're going to call the ambulance. Like, yeah, that you're not going to be... Yeah, exactly. Yep. 100% true. It's the last thing you're going to be questioning.
So, like, way later on that day, and I find out that, she's in, like, an ICU for, like, a burn trauma, and I go to see her in a couple of days because she was on a ventilator at the beginning, and I couldn't really interact with her because she was, like, sedated. And anyway, so I do all that, and I finally do see her, and the burns on her face were not really that bad. And the truth is that I held out hope that she would pull through this until the last day, man. Until the last fucking day. I was like, oh, things will turn around, things will get better. And I thought, well, she got sick pretty fast, and like maybe she'll just get better really fast. And I tried so hard to hold out hope and to believe. And I tried so many different things. Like I would look things up. I would talk to my dad about it for hours every day. She raised us, not us, me. her and I went to a church. It was a Roman Catholic church. I had communion and everything whenever I was young, and we went to mass every Sunday. And I even went to our old church to, pray for her and light a candle for her and everything. And I'm not a religious person in a very strong way. I would say that I'm not a religious person. I don't really know. And anyway, I went there because I thought to myself, well, hey man, if there's a 1% chance that this could do something, like, I'll be there every day. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, this is why religion is a very, very strong. This is why religion will always exist. This is why religion will always exist. Because, like, it's a very human thing to try and find anything to, like, cope or fix things, or like the way that our brains work. It's flawed, but kind of like by design. There are certain things that people just need in order to, like, move on and continue, like, living. And it's weird that humans are, like, the only thing that needs, like, that emotional, mental type of fix, because we'll end up deleting ourselves if we don't get that fix. And religion is one of them. It's a really good source. It's a very easy source. And when you feel helpless and you can't do anything, if it's just a 1% chance, I'll do it. He may be the most atheist person in the entire world, but if it's just a 1% chance, they'll do it. Humans will do it. So, yeah.
And that's what I did. And I told everybody, and I would go and sit with her, and I
just find it very interesting psychologically for the human experience, I guess.
Read all the comments that you all and my friends would make for her, and all the things people wanting her to get better and everything.
Also, I'm not sure if I don't think he's an atheist. I just use atheist because, like, it's the most extreme. Like, they'll be a hypocrite when it comes to, like, if a family member's dying and they feel helpless and they're very emotionally, like, unstable. They'll reject their atheism for that one time just to have the 1% chance of something actually, like, fixing the problem, which sometimes does work, To
try to improve her spirits as much as I could, and try to just be as positive and happy as much as I can be. And it was really hard. It really, like, it's never really been like this before for me, and so this was a lot. And anyway, things were very back and forth. She would be okay one day and bad the next day, okay one day and bad the next day. Then they would want her to wear, like, a mask for her breathing. It would, like, supposed to regulate, like, oxygen and, like, CO2. And she didn't want to wear the mask, and it was like a fight with, like, the doctors and her, and it was another fucking thing. And I got a call from my dad, and we had to meet with, like, all the doctors and everybody, because they wanted to actually have, like, a conversation to get everybody on the same page. And whenever we did that, they pretty much told me and my dad that she had end-stage COPD. That had nothing really to do with the burns. She had end-stage COPD.
What is that? End-stage COPD. Boom. Play.
End-stage COPD refers to a specific stage of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. COPD is a progressive lung disease that makes it difficult to breathe. It's typically categorized into 4 stages, each with distinct symptoms and lung function assessments.
And that's definitely because of the smoking. Yep.
That had nothing really to do with the burns. Like, she was in critical condition before that fire even happened. And we tried everything that we could. We tried different types of treatments, different types of, like, machines, everything. And finally it got down to the point where we either had to put her on a ventilator or we had to just make her as comfortable as possible. And they told me that, and I knew that, I look at her and, like, she had so many other things wrong with her, heart problems, like, her everything. I mean, she's 70 years old and overweight. And it's like, we put her on a ventilator, we're just waiting for something else bad to happen. We're waiting on the next thing to happen. And I knew it would happen. and it was kind of already happening with some other secondary problems that she was having. Like, it was not a realistic solution, and we all agreed that if she went on that ventilator, she'd probably just never come off of it. And I couldn't really bear to put her through that. And so we tried to just make her as comfortable as possible, and that's pretty much what happened. And again, I don't know if that was the right decision. We had a lot of conversations about her quality of life, everything, and it was all just fucking grim, man. It was just fire and brimstone grim. And
Yeah.
it was the hardest decision I'd ever had to make. And my dad and I obviously made it together. And I don't know if it was the right decision, but I'm pretty much certain that it was. It was inevitable.
Yep.
And my mom, like, she wasn't just like a mom for me. Like Zach and Cody and Lowell and Cameron and Jeff and AJ and everybody else in my neighborhood, and in a way, our little makeshift family. She would always ask about Cody and Jeff, and she would say, how are my other sons doing? And it was so hard to tell Cody and Zach, man. It really was. Oh man, it really was. Like, I'm not an emotional person.
Yeah, he really isn't. He really isn't. So this is like big time. This is like a once in a lifetime type of mental psychological stake he'll be in, and anyone will ever like see him in. Basically, this isn't the norm at all compared to what he does now. Like he talks about his mom now as if everything is like kind of like. I mean, he's not like. He doesn't just say it as if he doesn't care, but he's obviously not. Like, when people bring it up, he doesn't get like emotionally triggered by it. Like, he'll talk about it like just nonchalantly, but in in kind of like a serious tone. Like, yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is what happened. Yep, and that's it.
But instead of being filled with like grief, it's just filled me with so much emptiness. She was my best friend. And I would come home and I would be so happy to see her, and I would lock the door whenever I'd leave so nobody could come and like bother her or anything. She was just so precious to me and so important to me. And it wasn't just to me. It was to all my friends too. And I want to say that so many people reached out. So many of you guys have reached out and been so supportive, and so you've shared. Like, there's a guy I talked to a couple of days ago, and fuck, man, the guy's going through the exact same thing that we had to go through. Like, he's in basically the stage of the meeting with the doctors at this point. And fuck, dude, like, and that's the kind of shit. Like, that's why I'm making this video, man. Is because I know that I'm not the first person to have to deal with this. And I feel like I should share what's happened to me. And some of the people, like everybody in OTK, especially Tips that check on me pretty much every day, has just been so supportive and everything of me and everything. I've just been so lucky. My friends, Zach and Cody, and other people too, obviously you all might not really know, have just been there. Like, my dad has just been there for me, and I've been there for him too. Like, you gotta remember, like, my mom and my dad knew each other for 50 fucking years. I think it was a lot harder for him than he lets on. And that really does kind of make me sad. But anyway, also, whenever I told Izzy that my mom was in the hospital, she had there's this little like Swedish horse, and she had a special hand-carved Swedish horse sent to the house, and she wanted me to give it to my mom whenever she came back home. And whenever she found out that might not happen, I brought it directly to the hospital and I gave it to my mom, along with also a Swedish cooking book, so she could look at all the different meals and everything. And my mom, horses were her favorite animal. it made her so happy. And Izzy was there for me like every day, and we talked about it. And her and my mom were very close too, and they spent a lot of time talking and just being together. And not a whole lot, I guess, but as much as you would expect from two people that live in the same house. And anyway, whenever they were both living in the same house with me, we pretty much were running a miniature Amazon warehouse. I'm not even kidding, like probably 5 to 10 packages coming to the house every single day that between the two of them they would order. And
Damn.
My mom, of course, was using Social Security does not really pay that well, so she was using my card, and she would buy so much stuff, and like we had no room for this stuff, but it made her so happy. And how could I say no? I mean, she was so old; it was hard for her to do anything. This is one of the only things that she could do to make herself happy. Of course I did it, and but it was a pain in the ass having to throw away all the boxes every week, though. And yeah, I really wanted to say that so many people have been so much so important to me through this, and to all of you, thank you so much. And for like, what am I gonna do now? Like, what's gonna happen now? I don't know when I'll be back to streaming on my main channel. I have no idea. I really don't. I have to, like, obviously we have to do like a funeral, and I have to see my family.
Remember, this is like 3 years ago.
There's a lot that I have to do, and it's not going to be simple, and it'll involve traveling and everything, and so I can't really say when. However, I would like to come on my alt stream and just kind of give my fucking opinion about things and talk about stuff that I'm reading online that I have to give my 2 cents for. Because if it's either I talk to the camera or I sit in front of a mirror and I almost have a conversation with myself. So I just have to get that out there. And so I do hope to continue making
videos and sharing your personal grief is actually very therapeutic. So makes sense. Completely understand that point of view.
Maybe YouTube content I do on my second stream, maybe a couple times a week, maybe, hopefully. Other than that, just keep up with my Twitter, and I'll let you guys know what's going to happen. And I want to say to everybody, and not just my close friends and family, I really appreciate everything that you all have done. And I know how much many of you all like love my mom and thought she was great. I got so many good comments about her, and people were so nice. And thank you so much. It's made me feel so humble and so small to realize that I had that many people around me who cared.
Theme-Man
I really appreciate every single.
Hello. Are you from the other day?
Theme-Man Holike. Asmongold is an idiot.
Really? I like Asmongold. Asmongold's pretty cool. I wanted to watch his video on like his mom and how his mom like passed recently. It was 3 years ago, so obviously he doesn't really talk about it anymore, but I recently started watching him. I like his stuff.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see his how he reacted towards the death of his like mom, and see the psychology behind it, because it kind of makes it. These things kind of make or break a person. So yeah, it's good to understand people.
Thank you.
When they're at their worst or in a very difficult situation.
I don't really know if my life will ever be the same. I was such a good boy, and we just would sit here in this house and play video games and hang out, and she'd make us like cupcakes, and we were just good boys. It was so fucking good.
What do you think of Asmongold's take on the whole political situation right now? I want to know what you think.
Good, man. It was so fucking
because you called him an idiot, so.
And I feel like the truth is that this is what happens to everybody, and now I guess it's my turn to give that to somebody else.
Theme-Man Holike. Asmongold calls Palestinians an inferior culture and says that we should kill them while he lives in garbage and has a wall filled with blood because he is too lazy to use napkins.
So part of that is true and part of that is completely false. He didn't say, he called Palestinians an inferior culture. Yeah, he was overgeneralized when he said that, and then he got banned for a week for that. But then he made a video saying like, yeah, you know what, that was kind of very insensitive of me. I shouldn't have overgeneralized with that. But it is very easy to say that Hamas is an inferior culture. Is that like a bad thing to say? Like, obviously Hamas doing October 7th Like, only idiots would do that, right? Because now look at them. They committed October 7th, and now 2 years in, like, what? Over 50% of their
Holike.
buildings are completely
Him
destroyed.
apologizing is just a way of getting his money back. He does no care.
Oh, I mean, I
He-Man
don't-
Holike.
I don't-
Hamas is the good guys.
Yeah, that's unhinged. Hamas, the good guys? Yeah. Okay. I guess you deny all the mass that happened there too. I mean, grapes. You deny those too. I guess that didn't happen as well.
That's the
He-Man
most I can really
Holike.
say.
That stuff Israel says with no evidence. The Nazis also accused the Jews of and murder.
Yeah. So yeah. You're just one of those that deny that happens. Okay. All right. I mean, I'm not. Like, you can believe whatever you want to believe. Like, I know that happened. I've seen the evidence, but like, there's no such thing as convincing anyone that there's actually evidence when they're ideologically captured into one position. So it's just no point in like saying that you're wrong. Like, yeah, you can believe what you want to believe, but like, I obviously seen the evidence, and that's all I really need to know.
He-Man Holike. What's the proof it happened?
I mean,
He-Man
there's
Holike.
live streams.
Show me the evidence.
I don't need to show you anything. You can go look it up. You're already, like, it's a waste of time to... I've already figured out it's a waste of time to try and convince anyone otherwise. It really is. So, like, if you really want to, like, know, if you really actually are interested in changing your mind, go look it up. But if you're not, then you can continue to ask, and I'll just continue to say the same thing.
I think that's what she'd want to. She was the most genuine and
He-Man Holike. I looked it
pure-hearted.
up. There is nothing.
Good for you. I looked it up, and I found a lot of stuff.
He-Man Holike. No, videos, or babies in ovens.
Yeah, because we need to see the specific, we need to see those videos on the internet, because like people are gonna have those types of videos on the internet. Yeah, okay, all right.
And kind person that I've ever known.
Like, that's just wild. Oh, we need to see them actually committing the crime. That's or it doesn't exist. Okay, all right.
And I think that from now on, I'm going to try to be a little bit less of an asshole. Try.
Like, circumstantial evidence, like literally the burnt corpses of people in specific positions on like the bodies of how they looked like when they died.
He-Man Holike. What proof did you see then? If not videos of rape? A video of a Jew saying it happened?
Do you have any idea how unhinged that sounds? Oh, but you didn't see a video of them actually graping people. Like, the weird thing is that you're watching videos of people getting graped. That's the weird thing here. Why is this the standard of proof? That's so wild to me. But anyways, the evidence that you're saying, or the evidence that I'm saying, is literally the burnt corpses in specific positions when they found the deceased bodies indicate that there was a oh, that's why they're not going back. Indicates that there is that it suggests that that was going on during the event, and there's a lot of bodies that they saw. But there's also people say, oh, Israel burnt didn't want to share the evidence because they're lying about the whole thing, when Israel's main reason for not, or the organization that was cleaning up the bodies, they don't like to defile the dead. So like, they're not going to let people autopsy their dead because they it's like a religious thing.
I really am. Just try to be a little bit more relaxed and we're okay.
He-Man Holike.
So,
That's not really any proof, man. It's just guesswork based on the posture of a corpse, and they might as well just have oriented the corpses themselves. That is, if you already trust the Jews saying they have these pictures, they don't share them.
Yeah, I'm gonna trust the government that has democracy over the organization that committed October 7th. Yes, I'm gonna have a little bit more bias towards a country that runs more like the U.S. than a country that runs more like people that do terrorists attacks. Thank you. Yes, true.
to be honest, I'm glad I'm done with this video. I want to tell you all pretty much what happened and how things went with me.
We got 26
and,
seconds.
where I'm at. I hope to see you all soon, and I'll probably have new videos coming out, and I'll be back soon.
Oh, we actually,
guys so
the next thing we'll watch is the Israel-Palestine stuff.
Much. See you later. Peace.
This was a good video, though. This was actually a really good video.